Assalamu alaikum. Today on Nuran Academy, we're discussing how Islamic faith-driven astronomy organized time and space for the sake of worship. If you benefit from this, please support our work by subscribing and sharing this as a sadaqah. In this explainer, we're going to dive into how early Muslim scholars looked to the heavens, not for superstition or fortune-telling, but for the kind of precision their faith demanded. Long before we had clocks and satellites, they looked up at the stars and saw something amazing. Not just a chaotic mystery, but a divine map just waiting to be read. You see, this whole pursuit was grounded in a very real, fundamental need to fulfill the obligations of worship with absolute accuracy and devotion. This wasn't some abstract intellectual game. It was a deeply practical and spiritual necessity. So think about it for a second. Long before any of our modern technology, this profound question faced the entire global Muslim community. You have a faith that's spreading across continents, uniting people from all these different lands, and they're all bound by the exact same rituals. So how on earth do you synchronize them? And this question, it came from the practical, everyday requirements of the faith. The 5 daily prayers, they're tied directly to the sun's position. The direction of prayer, the Qibla, is a single, fixed point on the globe. And the Islamic calendar, which tells us when Ramadan and Hajj are, it's based on the moon. And of course, for trade and travel, getting across those vast deserts and open seas was absolutely essential. For acts of devotion this important, just guessing wasn't going to cut it. Not at all. The faith demanded a much higher standard. True devotion required precision. Any hint of carelessness had to be replaced with excellence, and chaos had to be replaced with a divinely inspired order. So the world needed a totally new approach. It didn't need fortune-telling. It needed a science that could bring order to the heavens, and by doing that, bring order to life on earth. And so the scholars of this ummah, the global Muslim community, they answered that call. And in response, Muslim scholars embarked on this incredible mission to map the cosmos. They saw this intellectual journey as a direct service to their deen, their faith, and their entire way of life. They started building observatories and developing instruments with just astonishing accuracy. You had brilliant minds like al-Battani, who pioneered observational astronomy with just incredible accuracy. And then you had figures like al-Zarghali, who developed these sophisticated instruments and star tables that would end up being used for centuries, not just by Muslims, but by the entire world. And listen, they weren't just passively observing the sky. No, they were refining everything. They calculated the length of the solar year with a precision that is just breathtaking. They created advanced models to predict planetary motion, and they basically founded trigonometry as its own field of study. And they did it all in service of their faith. Now, all this amazing knowledge was then applied through some truly remarkable tools. And this is where all that theory met practice in the most elegant way imaginable. And right at the pinnacle of this era's technology was the astrolabe. Honestly, calling it a tool is a huge understatement. This thing was an intricate analog computer, basically a handheld model of the universe, and it was perfected by Muslim astronomers to solve the most pressing problems of their time. And what's truly remarkable is how this one single device could address so many different religious and practical needs all at once. With an astrolabe, you could tell the time, day or night. You could calculate the exact windows for the 5 daily prayers. You could find the direction of Makkah from literally anywhere in the world, and you could navigate your journey. It was an absolute masterpiece of faith-driven engineering. With this amazing device, the sky suddenly became this organized, reliable guide for life here on Earth. But that leads us to a deeper question, right? What was the real engine behind all of this innovation? So, what was the driving force behind this relentless, centuries-long pursuit of accuracy? Well, it was the Islamic concept of ihsan, this core principle of perfecting or excelling in everything you do. It was the deep understanding that if prayer is an act of worship, then ensuring its precision is also a profound act of devotion. So, here's the crucial point. This scientific work was seen as an act of devotion itself. Studying the stars became a way to witness the signs of Allah, and that strengthens your iman, your faith. And measuring time with precision, that became a direct act of obedience, making sure the rites of worship were performed with excellence. And this just brilliantly illustrates a worldview where science was never seen as separate from faith. In fact, it was in direct service to faith, and this holistic approach, well, it would go on to change the world. And the impact of this work went far, far beyond the Muslim world. Their foundational texts were translated and studied for centuries all across Europe. Even today, hundreds of stars in our night sky, like Altair and Betelgeuse, still carry their original Arabic names. And the observatory itself, as a dedicated place for scientific research, that's one of their greatest gifts to all of humanity.
This incredible history, it's more than just something to admire from a distance. It actually builds into a challenge for us today. It sets a standard for us to try and live by.
The legacy of these astronomers offers us a really powerful lesson on the importance of intention. See, they didn't split their world into religious things and secular things. Instead, they asked one unifying question of all their work. Does this bring us closer to a law, and does it benefit the people? And that one simple principle, that question, it can transform any kind of knowledge. Whether you're in coding or engineering or medicine, it turns it from just a worldly pursuit into something sacred. Because without that direction, that higher purpose, knowledge just becomes noise. They proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that when worship guides knowledge, the entire universe itself becomes meaningful. They took the vast, seemingly chaotic expanse of the heavens, and they mapped it, giving it order and purpose so they could organize life right here on Earth. And so, this history leaves every single one of us with a profound and very personal question. Their ambition was to align the heavens for the sake of worship. So, as the inheritors of this amazing legacy, we have to ask ourselves, what great systems will we build for that same purpose today? Presented and created by Noreen Studium.